All right, everyone, it is the moment you have all been waiting for when Saagar and I reveal Rising's official list of the week's winners and losers. Saagar, who is your loser?
Okay, my loser for the week is Trump. And look, this has just been a brutal campaign for him. He has not returned to many of the ideals that he needed to. Both of us have been watching right when we prepare for the show. We're like, well, what did he say yesterday? I can barely bring you a clip that makes sense relative to the 2016 message. It's like, and one of the ones we considered for this morning was him calling Joe Biden a radical socialist. And I'm just like,
it's really landing.
Where do you get this crap from? Like, how have you decided that this is what you're going to go in on? Same thing with the Hunter Biden laptop story. Had the Trump campaign on for our final interview. It was a mess.
It was a mess.
Guys bringing up Charlottesville, talking about the laptop from, and look, once again, yeah, I think the Hunter Biden story is important. I think it colors in the lines and sheds new light on corruption. But dude, that is not what people care about in the middle of a global pandemic with the highest number of daily cases that we've had in America since February. So, I mean, since this entire thing began, and it's just the lack of prioritization of a coherent message on any sort of competence, the total mess of the campaign. I think he's walking, and look, like I said, if he wins, it'll be because this country is way more culturally reactionary than I ever thought. But I don't think that it actually is that way. I study, public polling and a lot of that stuff just as much as everybody, and I think people are just fed up with the way that coronavirus has been handled, and it is a referendum on that when it could have been a referendum on good leadership, good economic policy, which it was all laid out for him. And he decided not to do it, and it's all on him. All of it is on him. That is
so true. Yeah. I'm glad you brought up that interview. We actually should talk about that because my mind was blown when it was Steve Cortez who was on for the Trump campaign, and he proactively brought up Charlottesville.
Right. Yeah.
It was like, and you actually asked me, we were like, I mean, is this the message you want out there? Right? Like, this is what you want to talk about? What are you doing? Like, I understand why the Biden campaign might bring up that, but you want to really, like, this is one of the...
Out of your mind?
You point out the worst moment in the Trump campaign in terms of approval rating was the corporate tax cuts, which is another thing they love to surface.
Yeah, and he brought that up right afterwards.
This was one of the other worst moments in terms of approval ratings in the entire administration. You're going to bring that. I was like, wow, that
Everybody's
was really something.
Blown. It just shows how they're complete clowns over there. I mean, it blew $1 billion, Brad Parscale, and all of this on nothing. Poured it into the ether on this socialism nonsense. Remember during the Democratic debates, and I think I talked about it here, when they were flying those socialism sucks banners? I should have known.
That was
the way this shit was going to turn out.
Yeah. Now Trump's reduced to playing like Bernie Sanders ads against Joe.
Yeah, if only he'd run on that, 12 months ago. He even said he was going to cut Social Security in Davos. We covered it here. So it's just, you can't even make it up. Anyway.
You can't, indeed. So my loser is the Tongass National Forest. We touched on this week, so this didn't get a whole lot of attention. That's why I really wanted to call attention to it here. The Trump administration removed protections on half of the Tongass National Forest. This is the largest temperate rainforest, one of the largest intact on the planet. It's described as the lungs of North America, and now it's open to logging. At least half of it is open to logging. So this is one of the resources that we have remaining on the planet that helps take the carbon out of the air, not to mention being a vital habitat for all sorts of various species. So not a good move, in my view, devastating in terms of continued environmental degradation, and one that didn't get nearly enough attention this week.
You know what's interesting is that one of the things I covered about Ron DeSantis, which he broke from orthodoxy on, is he actually increased funding in Florida to protect the Everglades. And it was dramatically popular.
Yeah.
It was one of the things that he broke on. He was like, look, I'm not like a radical, climate change. But he's like, but I think we should protect the Everglades. This is our natural heritage. That's actually deep within the Republican kind of conservation.
The conservation mind.
The conservationist mindset. And we haven't seen any politician in a long time embrace that. It's very popular. You could go along with it. Stuff like this always just play. I mean, this would happen under the George W. Bush administration. I mean, it probably did.
Standard issue.
They probably did try and do it.
Corporate, just sell out all of our natural resources.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to confess, like, of all the states, I really don't understand Alaska politics very much to opine on how this may sway voters one way or another. But I will say, we were talking to Ryan Grimm, who has paid attention to the politics there. He said there's a real divide in kind of how people think about the environment. Climate change is obviously, like, it's very noticeable and very tangible and very real in Alaska. So I'm wondering how this is being received there. But you're right about that conservation mind. This was something I found when I ran for Congress in 2010 in the rural Virginia district where I'm from, which is home to the Chesapeake Bay. And there was a similar mindset where you had, you know, a real deep connection to, like, the land and the water and a care and concern for it that is different than what people sort of caricature the Republican or conservative mindset as being. So who is your winner?
Okay, so my winner for the week and for the year is Senator Mitch McConnell. He got the Amy Coney Barrett thing across the finish line, but he's basically setting the party in his image. He gave an interview recently, he very rarely does these, except whenever it's about judges, where he was talking about his own legacy as a majority leader of the Senate. And he compared himself to LBJ and to a few others. And it struck me that he sees himself that way because there has not been a single piece of major legislation, except for CARES and except for the GOP tax cuts, that have passed under Mitch McConnell's majority leadership. All he has done is basically judicial appointments for Republicans, and I think that's fine. But is that what you're supposed to do as a majority leader? Is a legislator saying his greatest accomplishment is just a routine Senate business of confirming judges?
Yeah.
Like, what? That's not what great majority leaders in this country have done. If you know anything about history and you know about the thousands of pieces of legislation that were passed under LBJ and other great Senate leaders, then Mitch McConnell is not even close within that. If you're great, if he sees himself, and this is the way the Republican Party sees themselves, as the apotheosis and a pinnacle of their power, is just oppositional politics and judges, it's a loser party that doesn't want to do anything. And so I was really struck by that interview, and I guess I'm casting him as a loser, but he won. Like, at the end of the day, he has won this fight for the GOP's legislative priorities and how they want to conduct themselves, and it will have grave impact for the future.
He's like the silent party. It is his party even more than Trump's in terms of the ideological agenda, because Trump basically ceded the ground to him, and McConnell really understands power dynamics. But it is sort of sad, like, Republicans used to rail against, like, unelected, unaccountable judges, and now it's like the one thing that they're extraordinarily focused on. I have a little bit of an unusual, I would say, for our vibe of our show. Winner this week, which is Georgia Senate candidate Jon Ossoff. I'm going to play this moment for you in just a second, but in his debate against Purdue, he had this just, like, brutal line about healthcare. Purdue, you're going to see in just a second, is like, doesn't know what to say. And then afterwards, it was like, you know what, let's not do the next debate. We're good here. So he backed out of the next debate in very embarrassing fashion. Let's take a look at that moment from Jon Ossoff.
You did say COVID-19 was no deadlier than the flu. You did say there would be no significant uptick in cases. All the while, you were looking after your own assets and your own portfolio, and you did vote 4 times to end protections for pre-existing conditions. 4 times. And the legislation that you tout, the PROTECT Act, it includes loopholes that specifically allow insurance companies to deny policies to Georgians with pre-existing conditions.
So he nails him there on COVID, he nails him on corruption, and he nails him on pre-existing conditions all in this short span. And like I said, it caused Purdue to actually back out of their last debate, which is really embarrassing. And at the same time, there's some very favorable polling coming out of Georgia that puts Jon Ossoff in range. I'm looking at the Biden results right now, which obviously is significant top of the ticket in terms of how Ossoff is ultimately going to perform. Monmouth is out with a Georgia poll that has Biden up 4. PPP just came out with one that has Biden up 2. Georgia's, all analysts are saying, is a true swing state, true toss-up in terms of this election. So I thought a very effective effective moment there and really should be a model of some of the messaging that Democrats use around healthcare.
Yeah, look, I mean, they're going to string them around your neck, and you played right into it, and these fools have been paying the price on healthcare for a long time, and they showed no sign of stopping.
And Purdue had no idea what
no
to say in response because there's
zero
no,
answer to that.
yeah, that's exactly right. Next week on Rising, elections. They're going to have top line and in-depth coverage all week. We'll be looking down ballot as well.
That's right. Make sure you to watch our special election night show on Tuesday starting at 9 p.m. Eastern and have latest results, analyses. We're going to have reporters from all around, favorites of the show like Kyle Kondik and Brian Grimm going to give their perspectives on the night. You guys don't want to miss it. Remember to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our videos, and don't forget to like and share as well. We will see you all next weekend, and happy Halloween.
Enjoy Halloween. Enjoy the weekend. See y'all back here on Monday.